March 5th, 2026 meeting of the Mount Pleasant Planning Commission is now called to order. Ms. Popodenko, will you take roll?
Commissioner Boyd?
Here.
Commissioner Cresby? Absent. Commissioner Devaney? Absent. Commissioner Friedrich?
Here.
Commissioner Havels?
Here.
Commissioner Kingsworthy?
Here.
Commissioner Martinez? Absent. Commissioner Ortman?
Here.
We have a quorum.
The first item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the February 5th, 2026 Mount Pleasant Commission meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of the February 5th, 2026 regular meeting. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Corey, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is the Zoning Board of Appeals report. Commissioner Havels?
Madam Chair, we did not meet.
Thank you.
Welcome.
The next item on our agenda is communications.
We have received one communications in letter form from Pete Lorenz, resident of 3229 West Beale City Road. The letter came on January 7, 2026, requesting that the city consider an amendment to the zoning ordinance height requirements for fences in industrial zoning districts. Mr. Lawrence is a civil engineer, frequently working projects in Mount Pleasant, including the J-Rank electric building and site expansion on Gover Parkway. And that's it.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is public comment. Members of the public are invited to come forward and address the Planning Commission.
One spot this time.
Thank you.
Usually there's two spots for
Right.
public comments.
Thank you. And please make sure to state your name and your address for the record, and you will be given 5 minutes.
Hello, my name's Marja Notstein, 1361 South Crawford Street. Yesterday, I attended the Michigan Municipal League event in Midland for Region G Housing Partnership. It was advertised in last month's minutes, and so I went. There they covered many municipalities and they spoke about ideas for building more homes. They covered financing and zoning, land developers, and our Mount Pleasant city planner spoke there also. She spoke proactively about additional housing. I went for an education about all of these subjects, and I learned that the public needs 12 times as many homes built in central Michigan as we are doing now. I learned about smaller lot sizes, smaller houses, because there's fewer people living in each of the houses, pocket communities like the Cross Lane project. And I'm sorry to say you can scratch out what I said at last month's Planning Commission meeting about zoning, because there's no way I'm going to be able to fight the entire state. Municipalities everywhere want to make smaller and smaller and build more and more buildings on established lots. But no matter what the secretary wrote in last month's Planning Commission minutes, I'm not speaking negatively of the 99% of hardworking city employees. My husband was one of them. He loved being able to ride his bike through the park to his office in the DPW building on North Franklin. I was only speaking of zoning personnel. But I won't change my mind about the area of the city at the southwest corner of Broomfield and Crawford Roads. It is already designated for planned residential. In other words, it could be good many of the homes this city needs. It is 30 acres for a new neighborhood in the master plan. The acres north of Broomfield, near Country Way, was planned residential years ago. It looks planned with apartments near the crossing roads, spreading into duplexes and further into single-family homes. And I presume that was what was meant to be done to the empty land south of Broomfield. But there are people pushing to give this great land away forever to a huge mega church-backed organization, lose it forever for the city's tax base, and lose the houses which could have been built for the Mount Pleasant families forever. And by the way, driving back from Midland yesterday, I saw at least 3 empty fields really close to Mount Pleasant on for sale. And yet the private school says they can't find any land to build on. Our city is landlocked, but wouldn't it be great to use the new zoning ideas to build a planned neighborhood and not have to squeeze in somewhere else? Use it on that 30 acres. Plan a newly zoned subdivision and use it for future city families. And I don't know what your official role is as a commissioner, but I should hope part of it is to protect the future of our city and to benefit the most people. And also think of the tax base also, trying not to cater to small private interests. And in the back of my mind, I keep hearing people in the city talking about deficit budget. So new houses would help that. I do want to say plainly that since the PRD is doomed and will be terminated, that the new zoning be only for restricted, not lose that tax base. Residential, excuse me. New zoning be only for residential and not lose that tax base. Terminating the PRD just simplifies how private interests do whatever they wish. And this is a PS to my letter. When it is advertised and announced in your meeting about petition signers, and then you see their addresses, at least 100 were not in Mount Pleasant or even in the state, and many more were not living in the city limits, how does that prejudice your vote? And besides that, I'm not sure that it's legal to put a QR code for petitions on your government website. It seems that the city should be impartial. So please don't let private interests steal our city's future, its tax base, and its homes for our children. We don't have any additional land. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else from the public who wishes to come forward? And welcome. And again, please state your name and your address.
Okay, I'm
Given 5 minutes.
Tom Notstein. I live at 1361 South Crawford. And I just want to thank the Planning Commission on all the hard work that they do with especially master plans and things like that, because coming from an engineering background, we rely on what the master plan is going to be 50 years out, because the utilities that we build are supposed to last a minimum of 50 years. And both in volume and in direction of flow and that sort of thing. So we have to look at sewer plants, water plants, stormwater drainage. What's this going to be? And as you densify, all these things go up, and the infrastructure that we have today may not support that much density if you start doubling. But we don't know exactly how that's going to go, because you build more houses, but do they have fewer people? We build things like shopping centers and stuff that have big drainage problems because of the size of the parking lots and impervious surfaces that are coming along. And I know that the particular site that they're talking about with the current concern down at the southwest corner of the city is stormwater runs, I believe, 3 different ways. One of the bigger ways, it was across the what I call newly constructed ball fields down there. There used to be a big swamp down through there, and they try to forced development of what initially was farm drainage. And they want to, and the farmers paid dearly for that drainage so they would have crops growing on relatively dry ground. And then I was involved with a job years ago down in Flint. They complained vociferously about the size of the draining system, but now they had 5,000 people to pay for it instead of one. So are we going to get more people to help solve our problems, or are we going to get more land that's taxed or developed wildly so that the infrastructure doesn't presently exist that would support those structures? I've seen a lot of things come and go here in the city of Mount Pleasant. The downtown's been revised about 3 times in the 40 years I've been here. And some of this was grant money, and the town center has changed at least 3 times. All in the interest of trying to get more commercial development downtown or commercial use and more money. And then we give things away with tax abatements and that sort of thing. That all has to be picked up by the residents on residential property. And there's a lot of impact with what you do here for years. You know, I was down in Davison and my dad designed and they built a sewer treatment plant. And it was supposed to last about 25 years. And they used the historical population density as it was going forward. But all of a sudden, the county says, oh, no more building. The only building you can do is in Davison. So they met their 40 or 50-year goal in about 6 or 8 years. And then they said, why? What's the matter? Well, the demographics changed because of infrastructure. And that is a real important thing for a planning commission, I think, to look at, is what changes is the master plan going to require that we've got to pay for ahead of time before development can occur. So some communities have put in place some impact fees that anybody that builds something that's got so much impervious surface has to pay so much more to build the infrastructure, you know, the large pipes and that sort of thing that have to go there, and even reserve areas for detention and that sort of thing. Do we do that more on a regional basis, or regional within the city of Mount Pleasant? Or do we do every property owner has to do this, thus, and so, and micromanage the whole system, which in some ways is not a good engineering approach. So that's, just do your best here to do what the city needs. If you got another site that's approximately the size of what I call Western Intermediate School, Mount Pleasant Middle School, and it's a huge site, about between 25 and 30 acres by my guesstimate. And how many houses can you go on there? And that's not fully development, but they're coming along and putting more and more paving in. And I think they have done a little bit on trying to reduce the surface runoff for storms. But they also have problems of cyclical sewer usage just during the day, which can balance if you got some residents and you got something that don't use much sewer in the middle of the day and need it more in the mornings and evenings versus a school which needs it during school hours. And if you have something that's...
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, anyone else from the public in person, okay, or online? Okay, I will close public comment. Next item on our agenda is new business. We have,
Just trying to change this slide here. Just give me 1 second. All right, so the first item here I have on the agenda for you is TC 2601. It's an introduction for a tax change amendment to SDI, Special District Industrial, regarding screens. So this proposed change pertaining to screens to increase the maximum screen height, not a frontage or not adjacent to civic space, but every place else, from 6 feet to 8 feet. So as background, I put that in the packet, but at September 4th, 2025, we had the Planning Commission approving site plan review for J Rank Electric to build 24,800 square feet addition to their existing 51,600 square feet facility at 1993 Gover Parkway. And then they also had associated site improvements, including new pavement surfaces, fencing, and utility connections. So the site contains an existing fence to the east to include a new hard surface area, which will aid J-Rank expanded operations. They do a lot of work. I think I mentioned that in the meeting with traffic signals, and so they are trying to assembly the traffic signals on site, and so that's why they did that large gravel expansion. And with that, they need to bring that fence towards that area and protect the equipment. So at the Planning Commission meeting, when the site plan was approved in September last year, you did not have the ability to approve a taller fence. So they have an existing 8-foot tall fence, and the approved fence for the expansion is only, it's capped at 6 feet. And that's because those are the rules that we have today in the zoning ordinance. So now, fast forward, they're getting ready for construction during this construction season. And then now in January, we had Pete Lorenz, the survey engineer for the project, writing a letter that came in your packet under communications for basically, requesting a consideration from the Planning Commission to perhaps increase that height from 6 feet to 8 feet. So per his letter, basically the main point is that fences for industrial sites, they have to try to balance security and urban design principles. So the request from 6 to 8 is basically a middle ground to increase security, but not really make fences so tall that it could be have negative effects to pedestrians potentially coming close to sites or other land uses that are surrounding industrial. And then looking at precedents, those are some of the precedents that the letter had, and I was able to verify them. So we have Union Township. They allow also only up to 6 feet, but there is language in the ordinance for both the Planning Commission and the ZBA to allow those heights to exceed. We have Isabella County allowing 8 feet. Clare and Alma allow 12 feet in industrial. And then Mount Pleasant, before this ordinance was approved in 2018, we allowed up to 8 feet as well. And that includes a 2007 permit for J-Rank to build their existing 8-foot tall fence. So the reason why I brought the text change for you is not something that was under the radar for us that we had discussed in the past. But when looking at the Mount Pleasant Master Plan, Vision 2050, there was an exercise that was done with the community that basically tried to capture all the things that we should fix, the things that we should aspire, and the things we were proud of. And in that exercise summary, there was language on making sure that our industrial sites are more, have better aesthetics, that there were some beautification considerations for that. And I think the zoning ordinance does tackle a lot of that with our landscaping and streetscape requirements on the street end. But then there is also a bullet point there that basically suggested that we have currently poor screening from corridors and no industrial areas for specifically manufacturing industrial sites. So with that, the goal really with the text change is to provide greater security for outdoor storage inventory while ensuring compatibility with surrounding non-industrial land uses. So the proposed text change would also be in alignment with our practice before 2018 and in alignment with surrounding jurisdiction standards. So at the packet, you can see a draft ordinance, just changing really the number from 5 to 8 instead of to 6. And we'll continue to have minimum 6-foot fences or walls for dumpster and trash enclosures. So that was kept the same, and the proposal here is to change to 8 feet. So the requested action is for the Planning Commission, to set the public hearing for the next meeting on April 2nd, 2026. But if you have questions, please let me know.
Other than security, is there any other reason for height of fences?
So the other reason, aside from security, is to also help actual screen tall equipment. So oftentimes, if you go to any of those, especially large operations, you see things piled up, and it goes way above 6 feet. So the 8-foot fence goes above human height, above an eye level and above a human height. So that would be a screen height that does help protect visually, but also security-wise, the equipment.
You know why it was moved from 8 feet to 6 feet in the?
I
last-
don't.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I couldn't find any notes nor previous text change proposals or work sessions regarding that. And then all the materials that we have about the zoning ordinance, the city was redrafting its entirety zoning ordinance. So
Right.
I can imagine that details like this, could have been missed, or maybe there was intention. I know that the zoning ordinance really aimed to get quality, right? So from an urban design perspective, if you're walking next to a 8-foot tall fence, it's way more impactful, and it could feel worse than a 6-foot tall. So it's really striking a balance between the different goals when we're looking at height. I don't think increasing height of fences for like residential and commercial would make sense. Yeah, but I would say that it could have been an intentional 6-foot cap because of urban design principles in general.
And why not 10 or 12 feet? Why is 8 feet the magic height?
Yeah, I wish I should have put some diagrams here, but when you start getting 10, 12 feet, you're almost looking at double the height of a human, and you're looking at basically a whole wall, right? It feels
Intimidating?
intimidating.
Mm,
Yes, thank you. Mhm.
Okay. That's all the questions I had.
Any further questions for Ms. Pavlideko? Okay. Um, do I have a motion on this item?
I'll move to set a public hearing for April 2nd Planning Commission meeting for text change 2601, an amendment to SD1.
Keep cutting you off, Corey. I'm
Sorry.
sorry. I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is with new businesses annual report.
All right, so this is an exciting time for me, at least. It is a lot of work to put the annual report together. I had a lot of help from Kaylee Cullen, who's sitting right here next to me, our office professional. And I would say that I want to highlight some of the features that we do highlight in this report. Historically, it used to be very much on the quantity of applications that came forward through the Planning Commission for approval. So site plans, special use permits, and all of that. But it really missed a lot of the work that the city staff does in the backstage with, projects like coordinating with CMU and having students look at some policies that the Planning Commission cares about. So we added a lot of that over there. We also have a section that highlights development activities. So we try to highlight some of the projects that are bigger in nature, more investment coming in the community. And then we also have a list of all of the goals and objectives of the master plan, and the planning department coordinates with all the different departments at City Hall to provide that update to you so you can see how the progress is going on all of those items. And And if we don't have a progress, you're going to see a no update there. But perhaps in the previous years, we had progress in those, but not in the current year. So that's more or less how we keep track of the master plan advancements. And then I also highlight the pre-application meetings because it is an incredible tool. We are always talking with other municipalities in the region about the success of pre-application meetings and how it really cuts down back and forth with applicants. It ensures better quality in the review process, ensures that we are not missing codes and ordinances. So we have a big group of city staff that attends the pre-application meetings, you know that. But we have just in terms of education, it's the building official, the fire marshal, and then we have the city engineer, city planner. Oftentimes, we also have our community services director that just got promoted, who used to be our parks and recreation director. So he's coming to those as well. And we may include the Middle Michigan Development Corporation if those are types of projects that are going to be very impactful for the region in terms of economic development. So reporting on the number of those meetings, and I think it's good for us to keep track and highlight. So you have the full report in your packet, and the request today is for you to approve the 2025 Planning Commission annual report, and then it's going to go to the City Commission in their packet as well.
Okay, thank you. Any members of the Planning Commission have any questions for Ms. Pagudego?
Yeah, I just was curious, in the application summary section, just after the introduction in the packet here, there's a table providing a summary of applications processed up through 2025. And I was just curious about the asterisk. I assume it related to the implementation of some changes.
Thanks for catching that. I should have deleted that asterisk when we reported the 2023 numbers. That asterisk was added there because the parentheses numbers, the 15 and 22, from what I recall, represented the previous year projects that actually, sorry, the 15 is what we had. Like if you look at the first row, special use permits, SUPs in 2023, there was a total of 18 processed that year, but some of those projects actually got carried on to 2024. So there were 15 that were approved, but some of the 2024 approved applications had 23 in the number, if that makes sense. So if folks filed like in December, we would have actually gone through the process in January. So that's what I remember being that asterisk.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any more questions? Okay. Thank you. Any members of the Planning Commission would like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the 2025 Planning Commission annual report.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a staff report.
All right, so I'm happy to report that we have 2 new members attending the Planning Commission. So first, Jake Boyd, thank you so much for being here. And we also have Charles Crespi, who wasn't able to come to his first meeting. He really apologized. He knew about this before being selected and told us right away. So both of you have the term, it's a partial term that will end on December 31, 20. So yeah, December 31st, 2028. So 3 years, 2 years from now. And then we had orientation that was conducted already with the 2 new members. We had them in February 11th and 13th. And then I'm sad to say that we had, unfortunately, Rachel Putnam-Farley resigning from the Planning Commission. It's due for private reasons, and but I really thank for her contributions here. We are going to still be in touch since she has a lot of knowledge on the housing piece, and basically said that we will send information our way if she bounces through, grants and legislative changes that may impact our work here in Mount Pleasant. So yeah, so then with that, we have one vacant seat. So for anybody from the public and residents here that would like to apply, the forms can be found on the city's website, boards and commissions. You can click on that button right there. And then the application form, after you fill it out, will go directly to the city manager's office that contacts the city commission committee on selecting new members for boards and commissions. And then they will make the selection. And then they report back to staff for us to welcome new members on board. So that's it on this item.
Okay, thank you. All right, do any members of the planning commission have any questions?
No questions, but I just, for Commissioner Farley, just, wish her the best. Hope she's doing well, and we'll miss her insight on her. We'll miss my buddy next to me. So if she's listening, best of luck. So then thank you.
And welcome new members.
Yeah.
Yes,
Appreciate you, Jake.
Happy to be here.
And I actually want to invite, if you want to say any words about your background, what brings you here, definitely feel free to speak.
I can do that off the record.
Okay, sounds good. We'll have a lot of time to hear you. And
You'll come around, Jake. Don't worry.
all right, so the next item I have on staff report is the Housing Summit. So we heard today from public comment, there was a housing summit that was organized for the region here. It was organized by the Midland Business Alliance through Midland Housing Forward. Housing Forward was created in Midland for Midland, but there was legislation passed with MISHDA through they have so many grants right now on housing, and they're really encouraging regions to come together and talk about the topic. So our local regional group, MCOG, decided to basically contract with Housing Forward and have them assist with the housing efforts in the region. So the summit that happened was the first one of its kind, organized for this purpose. And it was very hands-on. It was very, local. We had contractors in the panel that I was speaking. We had residents. We had other municipality representatives. And I would say that I learned a lot, took a lot of notes. Most of them, I think, just give really good precedents and ideas on how we can move with some of our city-led projects, including the cross lanes with Habitat. So I'm hoping that I can continue to work with stakeholders and find a way to get attainable housing here in the community. So as a reminder, we have here in Mount Pleasant, that statistics right there on that chart is showing the minimum housing gap in Mount Pleasant City. We have at least 962 rental housing units that are going to be missing by 2029 in the community, and 567 for sale housing units as well. So that's basically more than 1,500 units that we're going to be short by 2029. The regional numbers are way bigger. It's basically 31,000 units by 2029. And many reasons associated with that relate to reduction in size of households. And many of our areas here are actually growing. So I would say for Mount Pleasant, the most stark number that you've seen me present a few times now is the increase in workforce populations coming to Mount Pleasant city boundaries. We have an increase of 25% in comparison to the state's decrease of 7% of folks between 30 and 44 years old. So really kind of, the more experienced perhaps workforce that we call them family formation age as well. So folks that may be single individuals with partners or maybe looking to have kids that are moving here to the community. And then what the chart does as well, it talks about average medium income levels and how the gap is associated with those levels. For the whole region, including in Mount Pleasant, the city of Mount Pleasant, the largest gap for rental housing is for folks earning less than 60% of the average medium income. And for sale, it will be the medium range, so between 81 and 120% AMI. As a quick number of reference, 120% AMI for a family of 4 is around I believe $96,000 a year. And it goes down depending on the number of persons and AMI levels. So those are the numbers that internally we're focused on when looking at applications and, applying for grants for housing construction. So yeah, if you have any questions for Mount Pleasant, the panel was focused on planning initiatives that are helping with housing production and ensure that we keep them affordable to all, especially workforce. So the presentation had information about our new zoning ordinance. I believe we are the only in the state that does not have parking requirements, which has been incredible to ensure that we can have reuse of existing buildings. So going from one use to another without triggering more parking to be built and basically use our infrastructure in a more efficient manner. So that was some talk on that, even not from me. It was our previous city planner that was there and realized that I forgot to mention that very important point. So he mentioned that in the room. And then we also talked about the Mission Street plan and how we incorporated that into the master plan to try to beautify Mission and really make it a place and hopefully a place where residents want to come. And we can see some residential activity on Mission since it's going to be likely one of the most walkable ways of living aside from downtown Mount Pleasant. And then we talked about the data and the central market in Maine plan that we created for the grant that we received last year from the Mid-Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So that's basically it. If you have questions, yeah, comments, concerns. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, if there's no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I'm gonna second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Meeting adjourned.
First one of the book, Jake.
It only get worse from here.
No.